So good morning everyone, and welcome to this webinar for the Inter-Workshop webinar for the mentoring group. First of all, I'd like to cover some housekeeping matters. So you should all be able to see a control panel somewhere on one of your screens, and it will look like this panel down the right hand side of this screen here. So you should be able to find that somewhere on one of your screens, and if you click on the white arrow on the orange background at the top, it will expand that out into a panel where you've got a chat window and you can ask questions by typing questions in, and then they will come up on my one of my many windows. And to run a webinar like this, you need about 3 pairs of hands and 2 sets of eyes to see everything and monitor everything. But anyway, hopefully if you put a question in there or chat, I will see it. And you also have a raise your hand button on your control panel. If you could find that, please, because if you want to say something, then at the moment all your microphones are muted so that there's no background noise and things like that going on for everybody. But if you do want to answer a question or say something or ask a question, just press the raise your hand button. So can I get you all to try that now, please? Can you find your raise your hand button and give it a press? Thank you, Elizabeth, Jason, Carol, Dave. Yep. Okay, most of you seem to have been able to find that. Fantastic. That tells me that you can hear me and that you found your control panel. So as we go through, if there's anything you want to say, then just raise your hand and I'll turn your microphone on, and you can chat to me through those other means as well. For some of you, it'll be your first time on a webinar. For others, you probably do this all the time. I don't know. You may do it more than I do, but you'll soon get used to it. It's a great system. Okay. So let me move on to what I'm going to cover today. It's really a review of what we've done so far in setting the scene and the first workshop. So some of you heard this last year, some of you heard it at this workshop, so some of you are getting it for the 3rd time. Sorry about that, but spaced repetition is a great way to learn. Some of you will be hearing it for the 2nd time and some will be hearing it for the 1st time, so bear with me. We'll be covering what the mentoring group is all about. What is a business? We'll be looking at some business basics. I'll be talking about how clarity and getting clarity in your business leads to power. I'll be talking about big, hairy, audacious goals, and then some assignments for you to complete before we get together again on the 1st of February. So first of all, quick overview of the mentoring group. What's the philosophy behind the mentoring group? A number of years ago, several years ago now, I was doing some business coaching and realized that for business owners it can get quite lonely being in your own business. There's no people around you necessarily that you can bounce ideas off confidentially or seek advice from easily. And so I formed things called connect groups, connecting business owners together where they could work on each other's business, talk confidentially and know that things weren't going to go out of the room and all that kind of thing. And then a few years down the track, I was using the SBC to run these groups. They were fascinated by the laughter and the motivated levels that people came out at, and asked me if they could brand it and look after all the admin and do all that sort of stuff. So long story short, that's how it became an SBC program. And there's 2 groups. There's this group, 2.5 hours a month, and there's the advanced group, which is half a day a month. So, and you're able to progress from this group to the other group at the end of the year or before then if we mutually agree that's a good idea. Typical format and agenda, I've got a separate slide for that. What's your involvement and commitment? Please try and get to all the monthly workshops. Commit to helping the other members of the group and doing the assignments and things that I ask you to do over the month. Some of the tools and systems we use, well, this webinar is one of them. Basecamp, I think most of you have seen now, which is an excellent forum for putting up information, sharing things, asking questions, storing audios, links to webinars like this and everything else. So it just saves having to find emails and file things. It does it all for you. Been using it for years, and I use it with my one-on-one coaching consulting clients as well. And what we'll cover over the next 12 months, I'll put up a slide with some topics on for that too. So let's have a look at the monthly format. Arrive between 7 and 7:15 is my recommendation. The food, I'm always there before 7 to open the place up, get the coffee pot on, and let the guy in who delivers the food. So people generally arrive between 7 and 7:15 to network, have their finger food, and get settled for a 7:30 start. Often I will start with a point maker or a preoccupation breaker or whatever the latest term for it is, just to get everybody's mind present in the room and thinking along the same lines, and to break your preoccupation with whatever was going through your head before you came to the session. We will do individual accountability updates on how you're tracking towards your goals and what you said one month that you would do for the next month, things like that. It's great to have a board of directors to be accountable to. We'll review assignments and look at some of the best ideas and the activity that you got out of that. Remember business spotlights. I didn't mention this at the last workshop, but you're able to contact me and say, look, I'd like to put my business in the spotlight. I'd like to get in front of the group, explain my business, explain some of the challenges that I have, some things that I need help with, and then get the input, collective input from the group on what they think I should be doing, how I could overcome some of the challenges, how I could chase up some of the opportunities. We've had some excellent things happen to people in this group and the other group over the years because they brought an opportunity to the group, sought help, and then gone off and pursued it. So if you would like to put your business in the spotlight one month, then please send me an email or give me a call or whatever, and it'll be first come, first served. But it's a great thing to do, and I help you prepare and everything for that. And we'll be doing goal setting and reviewing from month to month as well. Some of the topics that we'll be covering: entrepreneurship and purpose. We're really covering that between now and next month, 1st of February. We'll be talking a lot about vision, values, objectives, strategies, tactics, and coming back to that every month. Understanding the numbers in your business. What are the numbers in your business telling you? KRAs, key result areas. What are the key areas of your business that you need to be monitoring and achieving results in to make the business get where you want it to go? And KPIs, key performance indicators. When you know where the key result areas are, how are you going to measure how things are going in those areas? You use KPIs. We'll be talking about that. We'll be doing a fair bit on marketing and sales because people seem to need help with that more than some of the other areas sometimes, and there's quite a lot to it in terms of there's so much, it's such a broad area to cover, so we'll probably spend quite a bit of time on that. Personal productivity and time management, generic. I don't know any business owner who wouldn't want to be more productive or have more time on their hands and be able to do things in less time. We'll be covering that. We'll be talking about technology, the internet, social media, cloud computing, all those other buzzwords that are going around, and whether it applies to you, if it does, how it applies to you, how you can take advantage of it, and some of the things that you can do. Again, another big topic. Systems, procedures, and checklists. We'll be learning how Boeing came up with flight checklists and how Van Halen, the band, used checklists. It's a very interesting topic, but systems, procedures, and checklists can be invaluable in a business. And any topics that the group wishes to pursue, all you've got to do is let me know. And I'm no expert on all of these things, but I've got contacts out there. I can certainly get people in to talk about some of those different areas if necessary. All right, so what's the mentoring group not? And I keep reinforcing this because I want people to understand that it is there to work on each other's business. So it's not a social group. You're not there just to have a good time and get some motivation and stuff like that. You're not there just to network and try and do business with other members of the group. You're not there to get referrals and get business. All right, it's a working group. So you're there to work on each other's business, help each other, work as a team, and execute things, not people. So take action, in other words. All these other things, the social side of it will develop anyway, the networking will develop anyway, and the referrals and well, not the prospecting, but the referrals will come when people get to understand who you are, get to trust you, get to trust that you do a good job, and get a full understanding of what product or service it is you deliver. So those things will come as a consequence, but they're not the reason for being. It's not the purpose. So I hope everybody understands that. And finally, the group will meet on the first Friday of every month. So apart from January, because of the holidays and things, from now on through to December, it will be the first Friday of every month. It is in the base calendar, and I highly recommend you go through whatever system you use for your appointments and meetings to put those dates in for the rest of the year, so that you stand a better chance of being there. So now, any questions? If anybody's got a question at this point, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll keep moving forward. I see no raised hands, so well, that's good. My explanation must have been very good for this time in the morning. All right, so a quick, again, some of you would have heard this a couple of times already. Some will be getting it for the first time, but why me? Why should you sit and listen to me? And also this highlights a little bit about business as well. I started life as an engineer in a steelworks, and I say to people, you know, I don't know whether I became an engineer because of my personality or whether becoming an engineer formed my personality. I suspect it was because I already enjoyed doing that. You know, as children, we just fall into an area that we really, really enjoy doing. And as kids, you always head down the track where you enjoy doing things. We don't like to be told to do other stuff. And when I was a kid, I was fascinated by how things work, and I still am. Anything mechanical, machinery, or just anything, I just got to know how it works. And when I was a young kid and I found a toolbox, I used to take things apart. So in our house, none of the clocks or anything like that worked for very long. My wind-up train set and things didn't work for very long because I was too busy taking them apart to find out how the damn thing worked. So maybe that's why I went into engineering. When I got my indentures in the steelworks, I left very quickly and got into computers. That was something somebody told me to do, and that was probably the best advice I've ever been given. And I was in customer service. So the point about this and how it relates to business and experience in business is that I was going along to sites where the computer was down, and these companies were relying on these computers back in those days to do their payroll and production and look after their staff and all sorts of things. When the computer was down, they got pretty irate. So I used to continually just about turn up to places where you had an angry customer. So I learned very early on to be able to communicate and deal with angry customers. And then you would end up trying to fix their computer with them hanging over your neck all the time saying, how much longer are you going to be? How much longer? Is it fixed yet? When can I get my guys back to work? So you're under pressure and also trying to deal with the customer and fix the problem. But I really enjoyed that, and some of those customers were so pleased afterwards they actually sent letters to my company. But it was all about customer service as well as doing the technical stuff. Then when I found out how much salespeople were earning, I moved into sales. And some of you would know that that was a major transition because I tried to deal with sales logically like I did with engineering. If something's worked once and it's not working now, there's a logical reason for it. When you get into sales and try and sell logically, it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work so well because people don't buy on logic, they buy on emotion. I had to learn psychology and how to deal with people in a selling environment. It was a massive learning and transformation. And then, of course, when I did that and I was selling some pretty big ticket items in the computer industry around Europe, I came to Australia and did the same sort of sales in Melbourne and Canberra. But then I thought management weren't doing a very good job and I should get into management. And that was another major learning. And again, it's relevant to some of the stuff we're going to be covering over the year, because now I've moved from getting results through my own effort and being motivated myself to having to get results through other people. You know, having to motivate those damned employees out there and stuff, as well as dealing with customers and clients. It's a whole different ball game trying to get things done through other people. And if you're going to grow a business and have a successful business, then you need to be able to do that, because you're not going to be able to do it all on your own. But that's, you know, how do you motivate staff? How do you manage their performance? How do you keep them on track, wanting to do what you want them to do, but because they want to do it, and all those sorts of things. So, and then, of course, having done that for a while, I thought, I'll just get into my own business and do it all for myself. You would all know that's another whole learning as well. So I've been around the traps a bit. That's why I'm so old. Now I do consulting and coaching, facilitate groups, do training workshops, I do some speaking, love doing all those sort of things, and sell some businesses, although I'm doing much less of that right now because of my passions in the other areas. I run these mentoring groups, some half-day seminars, training workshops, keynotes, one-on-one coaching. And the topics cover these areas here. So if you need to know more, just give me a call. That's enough about me, and I promise not to repeat it again unless asked. All right, some questions for you. I want you to think, and I'll raise your hand when you've got an answer and I'll turn your mic on. What's the purpose of your business? Why did you start your business, get into business, rather than go out there and get one of these highly paid jobs in the mines or resources sector? So who would like to answer that? Feel free to raise your hand. Or you can type it in if you don't wish to speak to the group. No takers. Okay, Dave. Dave, tell us.
I just finished, good morning everyone, by the way. I just finished tapping out that response on Basecamp, so it's pretty fresh in the mind. It was pretty much just to fulfill an urge, I guess. It's the challenge of taking on something yourself. And I'd worked for a good company, very good company, for about 7 years in total, on and off, contracting and then managing a small team. And then I went to a very bad company, or what I thought was a very bad company. So I saw the good parts and the bad parts, and then I guess after working for the bad company for a while, I realised I could probably do it a lot better, and I've used a lot of what I learnt in the first with that first company to carry on through for what I do today. So I guess in a nutshell, it was because of the challenge.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's answering the question why you got into the business, but what's the purpose of the business?
Well, I mean, it really was, or the purpose of the business was to fulfill that need for a challenge, I guess. But I mean, the business is a side business. It's there to make me, you know, to make a living, a good living, and something that I can, you know, sell down the track for a nice profit, so I can lay on a beach somewhere and drink Mai Tais or something.
Yeah, fantastic. You are a Hawaii fan?
Not really, just tropical. Anything tropical is nice.
Anything tropical, yeah. It's just that Hawaii is my favourite place on the planet, as you'll hear over the next 12 months. No, thanks, Dave. I understand where you're coming from. When I ask the question of people typically when I'm coaching them or meeting them for the first time and ask what's the purpose of your business, they will say things like you've just said, and quite often the challenge is part of it. And it's great that you have the idea in your head that it's something that you want to sell down the track as well, so that you're building an asset for sale later on. Not everybody wants to do that, but that is a very good a sort of vision to have in your mind. I guess, Dave, the thing that people sometimes forget, that they will tell me what the business does, they will tell me why they got into it, but they won't. It takes them a little while to latch onto the purpose. The purpose, I believe, for most businesses is, to make you money and to give you the lifestyle that you want and all the things that you want out of life personally. And if one of those is sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais, then that's what your business should enable you to do. So that's the purpose of the business, is to basically make a profit and give you the lifestyle that you want. Is that fair enough? Dave?
Yeah, very fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, I'll turn your mic off. If anyone else would like to comment on what Dave said or what I've said, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. So the next question is, and we discussed this in the workshop, what is a business? And quite often people have a little bit of a challenge to come up with the answer to that. And as those of you at the workshop will know, my answer is, and this comes from, it's something that Brad Sugars talks about all the time. Brad Sugars, the guy that owns Action Coaching. A business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that operates without the owner having to be there. In other words, it's commercial. It's there to do commercial transactions. It's there to be profitable. It's an enterprise. It's a separate entity to the owner. So a business is a legal entity that is separate from the owner, and it will run without the owner having to be there. That's what a good business is. So again, if you've got any comments or anything, please just press the raise your hand button. But I think it's a very, very good, and having been selling businesses as a broker for 4.5 years, I think it's a very, very good explanation of what a business is all about. Because a lot of businesses I look at, when people call me up and say they want me to do an appraisal, they want to sell their business, a lot of them are so owner dependent, they're just not saleable. So it makes it very difficult for the owner to get out. Some businesses, however, are for lifestyle. I'm not planning to build something to sell. I'm just planning to have a damn good time and live in Hawaii. And some people are happy running not-for-profit businesses, deliberately running not-for-profit businesses to help other people because they don't need the money. So on Maslow's hierarchy, they've reached the self-actualization part, and now it's all about giving back, and that's fantastic as well. There are some people who are running not-for-profit businesses unintentionally. I had a conversation over the weekend with someone who has quite a large business and 40 employees. They're all getting paid pretty well and they're in a job and enjoying themselves, but the business overall isn't making a whole lot of profit. It's just keeping everybody paid. So what's the point for the owner? He's not going to be able to sell that and get a decent pay for it, a decent price for it, because the profit's too low. So he's really working for a not-for-profit. That's what I mean. You can work for a not-for-profit unintentionally. I'm just going to run a little poll now and get you to vote. So I'm going to ask you what category you want your business to be in of these. Not what it necessarily is in, but what would you like it? So I'm going to put up a poll. You'll get a few seconds to select one option, and then we'll have a look at the results. All right, I'm showing off now. So here we go. So which category of business do you want to have? A for-profit business, a not-for-profit business, or a lifestyle business? So I'll give you just a few seconds. Okay, if you haven't voted, please just click on one of those buttons. Give you 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Closing the poll now. Okay, let's have a look at the results. Okay, so 60% of you on this webinar are in it to make a profit and 40% for lifestyle. So that's a pretty average sort of split, you know, as different stages of our life. People like me are more interested in enjoying what they're doing and making a profit, but it's more about the lifestyle. For other people, it's about the profit, probably to have the lifestyle as well. But anyway, that's good. Thank you for that. So let's go back to the presentation. What's the purpose of this first workshop that we had and this first month? It's really about getting clarity on your business. That's what I'm trying to get you to do right now, between now and when we meet on the 1st of February, because clarity leads to power. And I absolutely love this little quote from Alice in Wonderland. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't much care where. Then it doesn't matter which way you go. So long as I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. Oh, you're sure to do that, said the cat, if only you walk long enough. I think that is a fantastic little passage there. And if you change the walk to work, if only you work long enough, then you're going to get somewhere. But is it going to be where you want to go? If you don't know where you want to go, and you're not clear on that, then you could end up anywhere. And as a lot of business owners find when I go and do their appraisal for them, whether they're selling or just want to know what their business is worth, they should have thought about this a long time before, because they've got to a place that they don't particularly want to be. So let's have a look at it another way. I find a lot of business owners fall into one of these sort of four, or businesses fall into one of these four areas. In some cases, the business owner has no real strategy or clarity on what the business is all about, where they want to go or how they're going to get there, and they're not doing very much about it either in terms of taking action. So over on the left-hand side in the center there, you've got strategy low. So their strategy and clarity is low. And down in the bottom middle, you've got execution is low. So their execution, they're in that bottom left-hand quadrant. And I'll put the quadrants up in a moment. Other business owners over on the right-hand side, strategy high. They're very, very clear on where they want to go, how they should be getting there. But again, they're down the bottom middle, execution low. They're just not taking action on the things they need to be taking action on. That puts them into another quadrant, bottom right. There are other people whose execution is high. In other words, they're doing a lot of activity, doing a lot of work, a lot of day-to-day stuff, running around, chasing themselves in circles. But because their strategy and clarity on the business is very low, then that puts them into that top left-hand quadrant. The goal is to get both high. So your clarity and vision and goals very, very clear, and a strategy clear, and then lots of activity on those things. And now if I put the quadrants up there, you'll see that if your strategy and clarity is low and your execution is low, and you're going nowhere. If your strategy is very, very clear and you know where you want to get to, and you know what you got to do to get there, but you're not getting enough things done in those particular areas, then you're down in that bottom right-hand frustrated quadrant. You're frustrated because you know where you want to get to, you know how to get there, but you're not actually getting there because of all sorts of reasons. Top left, strategy low, and this is probably one of the most common ones. The top left and the bottom right are the most common ones. The strategy and clarity is low, lots of work, being very, very busy, but not going anywhere, not taking the business where they want to take the business because they're too damn busy dealing with day-to-day issues, top left-hand corner. And then, of course, over on the right-hand side, if you get both things right, you know what you want to do, you know where you want to go, and you're taking action every day and making progress towards those goals, then you're in the success quadrant. And the higher you can get in that quadrant, obviously, the better. So what I want you to do now, please, again, being very honest, and these polls are totally anonymous, so I don't know who's voting what, and I'm just going to put up another one now. I want you to have a look at those quadrants: busy, success, frustrated, going nowhere, and ask you to vote and say which quadrant do you think your business is operating in right now. So same as last time, please pick one of those. Which quadrant do you think you're in? Are you being very, very busy, working very, very hard, all the hours under the sun, but not really taking your business where you would like it to go? Are you going nowhere because you're not sure where you want to go? Are you absolutely on track, doing everything 100% right and getting there, or frustrated? So you know where you want to go, but you're just not getting there. So I'll just give you 3 more seconds. 2 more seconds, 1 more second, and we'll close the poll and we'll have a look at the results. So, fascinating. 80% of you are below the line, going nowhere or frustrated. You're in the right group, guys. Well done. And the 20% that are in the busy quadrant, again, you're in the right group. And that's a pretty common sort of response to this poll. So those are the things we're going to fix. We're going to get you all, well, only you can get you there, but I'm going to give you the direction, and together we'll work to get everybody up into that success quadrant. So when I run this poll again in December, we're all going to be voting success. All right? So thank you very much for that. Thank you for your honesty as well. So where does the clarity start? As we talked in the workshop, it starts with getting your vision clear. And this is what I want you to really work on before we get back to the next workshop on the 1st of February. What's your vision? What will the business look like when it's finished? So how do you want it to look? You know, I've got one coaching client, I told you in the group, and her vision is she wants to run her business from the QE2 while she's sitting there sipping champagne and checking the numbers. You know, that's a great vision to have, and it's doable, absolutely doable. So the business will run really, really well. All the employees will be in place, everybody will be doing what they're supposed to do, and all she'll need to do is monitor it and intervene from time to time and keep people motivated. Tom Watson, the guy that founded IBM a long, long time ago now, he had a great vision. I'm going to read this out. It's quite long, but I think it'll give you a very clear understanding of what vision for your business is all about. It goes like this. IBM is what it is today. This is what Tom Watson said when he was asked why IBM was so successful. IBM is what it is today for 3 special reasons. The first reason is that at the very beginning, I had a very clear picture of what the company would look like when it was finally done. You might say I had a model in my mind of what it would look like when the dream, my vision, was in place. The second reason was that once I had that picture, I then asked myself how a company which looked like that would have to act. I then created a picture of how IBM would act when it was finally done. The third reason IBM was so successful was that once I had a picture of how IBM would look when the dream was in place and how such a company would have to act, I then realized that unless we began to act that way from the very beginning, we would never get there. In other words, I realized that for IBM to become a great company, it would have to act like a great company long before it ever became one. From the very outset, IBM was fashioned after the template of my vision, and each and every day we attempted to model the company after that template. At the end of each day, we asked ourselves how well we did, discovered the disparity between where we were and where we had committed ourselves to be, and at the start of the following day set out to make up for the difference. Every day at IBM was a day devoted to business development, not doing business. We didn't do business at IBM, we built one. End of quote. I think that's an absolutely fantastic quote that describes what vision's all about. So how would you like your business to look down the track when it's done? You may still be in it, you may want to sell it, doesn't matter. And once you've got clear on that vision, and again we'll talk about that on the 1st of February, what are some of the objectives, what are some of the goals, some of the things you need to achieve? Long term, medium term being 2013 calendar year, and short term. Once you start working back from those long-term goals, you can work out what you need to be doing today. What are some of the strategies? So for example, maybe you want the business to have a $250,000 profit for the owner. One of the objectives might be to make sales to 6 new clients this year of $1 million in total sales. What's a strategy that you're going to use to get there? So it may be to go out and research the market. It may be to go out and get salespeople. It may be to go out and change direction. When I took over managing a datacomms company here in Perth, most of the business, over 80% of the business, was coming out of state government, and it was dreadful dealing with state government. I shifted the vision to, or the objective rather, to get it to be 80% commercial business from, go where the money is, the banks and those sort of companies, and get away from doing business with government. And my vision for that business was for it to run like a Swiss watch. That's another story I'll keep coming back to when we talk about systems and things. When you've got your strategies in place, you can then work out, well, if that's my strategy, what have I got to do this month, this week, today to achieve that strategy? And every business is built on values and principles. We'll talk about that just about every month as well. What are the things that you stand for that reflect how the business does business? All right, I think I've labored that point enough. A couple of other points I made. Business is really simple, and if you break things down into simple elements, then A, it's understandable, and B, you can start to do things with it. So I think a business is made up of 2 elements, maths and psychology. All right, the maths is getting the numbers right, knowing what price you should be charging for your products and service, knowing how you make a profit, knowing what that profit is, and knowing how many inquiries you get, what your conversion rates are, what your profit on transactions is, how you get people to come back, all these different things is the numbers. It's the maths in the business. And the psychology is the sales and marketing. It's no good getting the maths right if you don't sell anything. So the psychology, like I was talking about the stages that I'd gone through in my business career, it's about being able to deal with people and understanding the psychology of marketing and sales. And you've got to get it right. If you get the maths right but the psychology wrong, if you get the maths wrong and the psychology wrong, well, you don't really have a business at all. If you get the maths right, in other words, you got the profitability and the numbers and everything right, but you get the psychology wrong, you don't sell anything, then you slowly go out of business. Get the maths wrong, in other words, you're not making enough profit and selling your products and services at the right price, but you get the psychology right, you're brilliant at sales, because that's where your strengths are, well, you go out of business quickly. If you get the maths right and the psychology right, you've got a very successful business. And again, that's what we're going to be working on through the next 12 months. So now let's have a look at the foundations of every business. And again, I went through this in some detail in the workshop and what these things stand for. Most businesses get started by an entrepreneur or a tradesperson type person. That's the P. The P is the doing part. Okay, so over here, the P is production, delivery of service, and all those kind of things. So if it's a tradesperson who goes into business for themselves, then it's because they're very good at the doing part and delivering the product and service. If it's the entrepreneur, and over here we see Richard Branson in the E column, then entrepreneurs are very good at having ideas, seeing opportunities out there, and getting funding, getting backers, getting the business going, but generally they're not very good at many of the other elements of the business. They need other people in place to take care of those. So it's usually one of those two guys that starts the business. And then once the business gets going and it's starting to be successful and delivering products and service, the A part comes into play big time, the admin, the systems, the finances, the numbers. If you don't get that right, the business will die pretty quickly because you'll run out of cash flow, quality of delivery of product or service will drop off, and you will lose customers. You've got to have the admin support systems in place to support the business. And then, of course, S&M, again, sales and marketing. You've got to be able to get the product sold. You've got to get somebody, convince somebody to buy the product or service, otherwise you don't have a business. And then the very last area, the I, interpersonal, the people side of it, is the part that often gets left to last or ignored and is so crucial. You need people in your business to grow a business and have a business that will operate without you being there. So it's understanding good policies, motivation, performance management, career development for people, all those sort of things need to be in place and thought through. And say quite often it gets forgotten and then the business fails. So a business requires all of these. And going back to when I was talking about personality and style, back about my background, a business owner tends to be excellent and passionate about one of those columns. They might be competent and able to do some of the other columns, but they don't really enjoy it. They don't rush out of bed in the morning, to do that particular element of the business. Or they may be totally incompetent at it and just not interested in doing it and ignore it and hope it'll go away. You can't do that. If you want a successful business long term, you've got to get all these pieces in place. And if you're not good at something, this is where Richard Branson's so good. He'll put the right people in the right roles to make sure that those areas are all covered. So we'll have more discussion about that down the track as well. So we're coming to the end of the time. So I'm going to get into just a little warning now, and we'll talk about assignments for the month. We may run a few minutes over. I apologize for that. Between the workshops, this is a warning. Just attending the workshops will not necessarily improve your business or lifestyle. It's great to come along. It's great to interact and network and talk to people and get a shot in the arm and go away motivated. But if you don't take action and do and think new stuff, then it's not going to change what you've got. We said in the workshop, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So you need to do something different, which means you need to think differently, and that's what we're going to be working on again in the workshops. We're going to get you to work on the goals that you set. I want you to work on those goals between the months. That's where all the results come from. Listen, read, and research the current topic. Don't just take what we get in the workshop. I will give you some listing stuff some months, or some reading or some research to do. Please apply yourself to that. Take action. Execute your plan. Nothing happens until there is action. I think I've made that point clear enough. So just going back to this, what are we doing this month? And what are we going to talk about, amongst other things, on the 1st of February? I want you to really think about what your vision is for your business. It doesn't have to be massive. Just get it clear in your mind. Express it in terms of sitting on the QE2 and drinking champagne or whatever. Whatever's right for you. I want you to come up with 3 to 5 big, hairy, audacious goals to get you to that vision, and then break it down into some objectives for 2013 that you can report back on in December. Then, again, we'll work on this continuously, but start to put together some strategies of how you're going to achieve those objectives. What's the day-to-day activity that you need to do? And say the discussion about values and principles is ongoing. Here's a tip. Do exactly the same thing for your life, for your personal life. Sit down and think about what's your vision for your life. Where do you want to go in life? What do you want to be doing? If time and money were no object, where would you be spending your time? What would you be doing? Who would you be with? Where would you be? All those sort of things. What would your life look like? And then do the same. Set some objectives, strategies, tactics, and what are the values and principles by which you live. So that's exactly the same triangle, but for your personal life. If you do that, you'll be so empowered and motivated, I won't be able to hold you back. So some assignments for this month. What have I asked you to do this month? Research entrepreneurs. Let's try and get in the head of some of these guys, you know, and look at what is it that makes them successful. Are they born entrepreneurs, or do they become entrepreneurs? What's the trigger? Have a think about that. Answer the questions that I put up on Basecamp about entrepreneurs. I suggested someone there, but feel free to choose your own. Who do you look up to? Who would you aspire to be like? Who would your role model be? That's a good way of looking at it. And then we'll look at some of their characteristics. If you haven't done so already, please read Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. I will put a link up on Basecamp so you can cheat and watch a little cartoon video for 10 minutes. But I strongly recommend you get the book, because there is a section in the back of the book that's not on the video, which is also very useful. Get onto Basecamp and view the tutorials and really get used to using that, and don't be afraid to put stuff up there and interact with the group between the workshops. Feel free to put up there a one-pager on yourself and your business. The more you educate us on your business and what you do, the more people can help you, maybe give you referrals once they learn to trust you and love you. But the more we know about your business and what you do, and think about having a spotlight session. Do you want to put your business in the spotlight? So that's what I'm asking you to do. Oh, and write down 3 to 5 big, hairy, audacious goals for 2013. Make them specific, measurable, realistic, all those sort of things. So really, any questions? We've covered a lot. We've run a little bit over time. I apologize for that. Any questions, comments, help, feel free to call me anytime during the month, or contact me anyway. Here's a whole lot of contact ways you can contact me. I've got a website, which is also a blog, johndenton.com.au. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I recommend you do that anyway. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're not, we'll certainly cover that in one of the months when we're talking about the internet and social media. Go to my Facebook page and like that, please. I need more likes. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, you can get me at bizreadyforsale, and you can email me at john@johndenton.com.au. I think that just about covers everything. So this is your last chance to raise your hand if you want to say anything. Okay, and as I said, I think on Basecamp, future months now, the workshops will be much more you guys talking and much less of me, and a lot more interaction. So thank you very much for attending. Really appreciate it. It really does help having people on the webinar, and there will be a recording of this webinar which you can come back to at any time. So thank you very much. Hope you have a fantastic day, the rest of the day, and look forward to seeing you all on the 1st of February.